Boom! Warner Brothers Discovery is officially up for sale, just like I have been saying now for the past, I don't know, how long have I been doing this now? Months? Sure, let's go with months. But I'm going to say 6 months ago, I did a video saying that, that Warner Brothers Discovery, was going to go up for sale after Superman bombed. And I said that Universal Studios was the one, looking to buy them. Turns out I was half right in that regard because Comcast is actually one of the potential buyers of Warner Brothers Discovery right now. We know this. This is a fact. We know this already. We know that there are three, major companies right now interested in Warner Brothers Discovery. There's Netflix, Paramount Skydance, and Comcast. Now, these are the three potential buyers. Now, I have two articles from Cosmic Book News that we're going to take a look at, and I'm going to bring those up right now. And this is actually very, very now. Let's talk about the thumbnail for the video. We are closer than ever now to seeing the Snyder. This is a fact. This has yet to be confirmed. However, with all the moving pieces, that are going on right now, there are a lot of pieces. A lot of pieces are moving right now. And we know that Zack Snyder just recently created an Instagram account. This is not by accident. I can tell you that right now. Zack Snyder does not do things without a purpose. I'm going to show you some pictures that he posted on his Instagram, since he has been active on Instagram, since his account. And this started with so it started with this, and he is posting, and I'm telling you right now, this is not by accident. He is doing this on purpose, and he is doing this for a reason. So he posted this, and then he posted this, and all of these are from the a lot of these are from the Snyder Cut, of Justice League. And if people, who are paying attention, during that time, during all those posts, the last time obviously was obviously before, the Snyder Cut was announced. The last time, that Snyder, was posting, cryptic, posts like this, was obviously around the time that the Snyder Cut, was gearing up to be announced. So, but I am going to bring up an article from Cosmic Book News. Now, this Um, this come now this n- now this article is obviously, I'm going to read it and then I'm going to explain and then I'm going to explain, why I think, I'm going to explain, why I think, this is true and why I think, this is a very, very strong possibility. But it says here Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan, and Saudis set to bring back the Snyderverse exclusive. Okay. And it says here Warner Brothers Discovery is officially up for sale. And it is no coincidence that Zack Snyder has been posting nonstop DCEU images and liking fan content on Instagram that compares the performance of his films to James Gunn's struggling DCU projects. Um, the, the timing lines up with what we have been told. If Warner Brothers Discovery is sold, James Gunn will be out as head of DC Studios. Now, there was a there was a report. Now, the gun community out there is saying, if Warner Brothers Discovery is sold, or when it gets sold. Well, first up, I want to bring up that before, and this goes to show you just how stupid the gun community is, because because before they were obviously saying, oh yeah, no, Warner Brothers Discovery, they would never sell DC, it's not gonna, a sale was never gonna happen, blah 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 blah. And now, but but that's what that's what all of these people were saying before. Okay, now they are saying, and now they're saying that they're gonna, that when the company is sold off, when it gets bought, and according to reports, this merger, or this purchase, this purchase could very well be completed by Christmas. Or, no, I'm sorry, not Christmas. Thanksgiving, from what I understand, um, sometime after Thanksgiving, they are going to, look at their options, and they are going to evaluate, the different, they're going to, like, weigh their options and look at, the different companies, the different companies and the different options that they have in terms of who are looking to buy, Warner Brothers Discovery, because David Zaslav, when he came in, when he acquired, Warner Brothers Discovery, uh, when the merger happened, he was already meeting with, Zaslav was already meeting, with different companies, even before he took over. He was already meeting, with different companies, and talking to them about, about selling, about selling the company. And I know I talked about this, in previous videos. But Zaslav was never in this for the long run. He wanted to simply acquire, Warner Brothers, and then sell it off to the highest bidder and make a profit. He was never in this for the long run. Keeping Warner Brothers was never in the cards, for Zaslav. So, um And this, I think, is also very telling and very important. This comes from the same insider who told us Daredevil Born Again was being completely retooled uh, months before the Hollywood Reporter confirmed it exactly as we reported. And yes, I remember, and this is true because they did report on this, saying that saying that Marvel and Disney was not happy with how was not happy with how that first with how the first draft of that show turned out, and it was being completely retooled. And we were told that it was getting completely retooled, and sure enough, it was. um Sorry guys, lost my place. Okay. um Uh, it is the same source who has been accurately filling us in on the sale of Warner Brothers Discovery and David Zaslav's plans before the trades caught up. Uh, their track their track record speaks for itself. Um, Now, regarding DC, the message from our insider is clear. The Snyderverse is back in play fully. That means Zack Snyder returning to DC, not just for a one off Elseworlds title, but for an actual revival of the universe he started. We're told Christopher Nolan is also part of the plan to return as executive producer, who backed Snyder on Man of Steel and helped shape the original vision for DC before Warner Brothers derailed it with studio interference. According to what according to what we have been previously told, it was also Nolan's decision to hand over DC to Snyder. Now, Now let now let me remind people that is Snyder is very, very good friends with Christopher Nolan. And he and let me remind people that that Christopher Nolan has been one of Zack Snyder's biggest supporters and biggest cheerleaders now for quite a while. He Let me remind people that he actually called Watchmen ahead of its time, and that movie is incredible. So we know for a fact, so we do know for a fact that that Christopher Nolan is a huge, champion of Snyder's. And um um uh, while Snyder has publicly said he wanted to end his DC career with an adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns, we're now told that the impending sale of Warner Brothers um Discovery has shifted everything. He is pivoting uh toward restoring the Snyderverse outright. If that happens, it implies the return of Ben Affleck as Batman, who publicly rejected working with Gunn's DCU after its announcement, and Henry Cavill as Superman. Fans remember Cavill's widely seen interview with Josh Horowitz, um, confirming his comeback, only for Gunn to immediately upend it. Gal Gadot has also been visibly active. Has also been visibly active, supporting Snyderverse posts. None of this is accidental. Snyderverse, even Ezra Miller is making some sort of Hollywood return. and me personally, I I really really hope that that part is not true. Um, me personally, I cannot stand Ezra Miller. I did not like his Flash. I did not think that he was a convincing Barry Allen at all. He was fine in the Snyder cut, and I put a big emphasis on the word fine. But me personally, I would really, really prefer a recast. Um, we're told the Saudis want to do the Snyder. We're told the Saudis want to rival. Uh, we're told the Saudis want to rival Marvel and Avengers Doomsday with a Snyderverse level event. Um, we're told Henry Cavill is back as Superman, Ben Affleck possibly as Batman, and more. Now, we already know for a fact that that Snyder is already doing a movie with the Saudis. He's doing that that wrestling he's doing, that wrestling movie with them. We're told that Saudi Arabia is now the front runner to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery. According to our source, they're in the driver's seat with their $1 trillion fund. Variety now reports that Paramount has teamed with the Saudis to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. So if this happens, so if this happens, it would not be, so if this, sale happens and it ends up being, finalized, it would not just be for a one-off. It would be for literally the entire, Snyderverse as a whole. So this would include, not just, Justice League 2, but also Justice League 3, David Ayer Suicide Squad, and most probably Ben Affleck's, Batman movie that never got made. So all of this is a possibility. There is a very, very, very strong possibility, that if this, when this sale is finalized, the Snyderverse will be restored. And yeah, and here we are. Snyder and the UFC partnered with Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, chaired by, I'm not going to even try to pronounce this name because I'm just going to butcher it, but to produce Brawler, an upcoming film Snyder is directing and co-writing. The Saudis trust Snyder creatively, and he is already tied directly into their entertainment expansion. Our insider says that our insider says this is exactly why Snyder has been highlighting his Snyderverse work on social media. The signals aren't random. The signals aren't random. They're building momentum. And this is true because, again, if this sale ends up happening, there is a very, very strong possibility that the Snyderverse could be restored. And we already know We already know that James Gunn's DCU is struggling. It is not resonating with people. Creature Commandos did not resonate with people. Season 2 of Peacemaker did not resonate with people. You know, Superman sold half as many tickets as Man of Steel. You had half the audience from 12 years ago. The media, you know, the media is very, very heavily pushing, you know, for Superman, you know, claiming it was a hit when it wasn't. It was not a hit. It was not a hit. It was not a hit. It's just a fact. So, and then here we have Hollywood producer confirms Saudi near deal completion. Our insider pointed us to comments from Hollywood producer Patrick. Yeah, I'm not going to try pronouncing this either because I'm just going to butcher it. But who said he was the first? He was the first to report Saudi Arabia's interest in buying Warner Brothers back in October. According to yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce this, who recently returned from Saudi Arabia, the deal is near done. He stated that Saudi Arabia's acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery is one signature away from completion, and the price could reach $70 billion. If this is true, if true, the sale could close faster than anyone expected, and the Snyderverse could return far sooner than fans ever thought possible. Now, we know for a fact that now, you know, taking all of this into account and looking at, what we already know, it is impossible, it is impossible to tell right now, who is going to buy, Warner Brothers at this stage, because again, we have three interested parties: Netflix, Paramount, Skydance, and Comcast. Okay. Now, Netflix, now let's look at and weigh, some of these options here. You have Netflix, who definitely has the money to spend. They don't have, they don't have the debt. They're not, deep. They're not, deep in debt, like some of these other companies are. Like some of these other companies are. So, so Netflix buying Warner Brothers, it would do two things. It would do two things. It would stabilize their stocks, and it would stabilize their stocks, and Netflix definitely, obviously, has the money to spend. Because Netflix, doesn't have all the debt. So you have Netflix, who definitely, has the money to spend. And again, Snyder has a very, very good relationship with Netflix. Some people will tell you that Rebel Moon was a failure, but it wasn't. It was not a failure. People who tell you that Rebel Moon was a failure don't understand how Netflix work. They don't understand how Netflix works. They don't understand how streaming works. Okay. So you have Netflix, who definitely has the money to spend, and you have Netflix, who definitely, has the money to spend, and Snyder already has a very, very good relationship with Netflix. Plus, you have some of the Snyder actors, like Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, who have already worked with Netflix as well. And you have um you have Snyder, who was already asked, if Netflix got the rights, if Netflix bought the rights, would he come back to finish his vision? And he said absolutely. So, so there are a lot of moving pieces in play right now. There are a lot of things, there are, a lot of moving cogs right now. Uh, there are a lot of, moving cogs right now, and a lot of pieces, moving behind the scenes. And I want to bring up, um, something else that I grabbed. And this is also from Cosmic Book News. Henry Cavill back as Superman. Ben Affleck possibly Batman. Snyderverse updates exclusive. And again, this is from Cosmic Book News. I have an update on the return of the Snyderverse, and what I'm hearing from my insiders before getting into it. Here's the current situation. Variety reported that the Saudis are teaming with Paramount for a full Warner Brothers Discovery takeover. Shortly after, Paramount publicly denied the report. So no matter how this turns out, the bottom line says the same. The bottom line stays the same. The Saudis want Zack Snyder back, and they want the Snyderverse restored. If the Saudis back Paramount and win, Snyder wins. If they back Comcast and win, Snyder still wins. Either way, Snyder comes out ahead. And as I tweeted, the wild card is President Donald Trump, who has been reported to be backing Skydance Paramount. Well, Trump is said to dislike Comcast CEO. My insiders point out that Comcast positioned itself for a Warner Brothers Discovery bid by creating a separate company to dump the networks Trump hates. So that issue may not stop anything. And from what I understand, from what I heard, I don't know how true this is, so take it, however you will. But from what I understand, originally, David Zaslav wanted to sell the entire thing to Amazon. But Trump, from what I understand, hates Amazon, so for obvious reasons, that obviously, isn't going to happen. My insiders told me Zach knows exactly what is going on with Trump, and that's why Zach posted that Henry Cavill Superman image on Veterans Day. The White House just announced a massive deal worth $600 million with the Saudis after a meeting with Trump. If the Snyderverse truly comes back, that means the actors return to their roles. I'm told Henry Cavill is back as Superman. Gal Gadot is back as Wonder Woman. Jason Momoa will be back as Aquaman. Ray Fisher will be back as Cyborg. Ezra Miller as the Flash, I'm told doubtful. Um, uh, the Ben Affleck question. The biggest unknown is Ben Affleck. If you follow the last decade of drama, you know he's been burned multiple times, including being cut from the real ending of The Flash. Um, my insiders say Affleck possibly returns as Batman, uh, but warn but warn it is a lot of work physically. Um, Snyder's plan and what comes after. I'm told the plan is for Snyder to finish his Snyderverse. I'm told the Saudi Warner Brothers Discovery deal has been in the works for some time. Uh, it is also the it is also the reason Zaslav passed on Paramount's early bids 3 times. Um, Zach is close with the Saudis, and they want his storyline back to rival Marvel, back to rival Marvel in the upcoming Avengers films. Sounds like they're aiming straight at Disney. After Snyder completes his arc, I'm told DC will reboot again. Likely under Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi, the current heads of Warner Brothers Pictures. Uh, the fate of the fate of the DCU and James Gunn. Regarding James Gunn and the DCU, I'm told that if Paramount and the Saudis are indeed teaming up, James Gunn's DCU is toast, and Gunn will be forced out due to Gunn's divisive politics. The head of DC Studios posted and said nothing on Veterans Day. Well, there's a big fucking surprise, right? Um, um, I'm. I have been told that I have been told that. Sorry, guys, I trip over my words a lot. I apologize. Um, I have been told that if Comcast ends up buying Warner Brothers Discovery, there's a real chance Gunn could actually team up with Zack Snyder for the Snyderverse return. Now, I am calling bullshit on this because James Gunn, because James Gunn is a one-trick pony, okay? We have seen what his DCU is like. It's not taken seriously. You, it's disgusting. It's juvenile. There's no way in hell, just because Zack Snyder and James Gunn worked on one movie together in the past does not automatically mean that they would team up again. Okay. I'm just going to put that out there. My insiders say one idea being floated is Gunn writing the Justice League 2 script with Chris Terrio already having a treatment and Snyder directing. It would be a full circle moment since Gunn and Snyder both got their starts at Universal with Dawn of the Dead. So yeah, so me personally, I do not see that happening. James Gunn seems pretty determined. James Gunn has been determined to completely move away from what Snyder is from what Snyder has done. But one of the things, but let's not forget, one of the things that James Gunn loves to do is rip off, what's already been done. He likes to take, he likes to take things, from other people and run with it and pretend, like it was his idea when it wasn't. So So at the end of the day, I do think that that this deal will happen. You know, I do think that this is definitely going to happen. And, and when you look at, and when you look at where a lot of these franchises are right now, when you look at where a lot of these franchises are right now, like you look at Star Wars, you look at the MCU, you look at the DCU, when you look at where a lot of these major franchises are right now, they're in the toilet and they're not making a lot of these properties, people just don't care anymore. They don't. It's just a fact. They're not resonating with people. They're not bringing in the fans. They're not bringing in the money. It's just a fact. And, so if the Snyderverse gets restored, this would go a long way into winning back, the trust of the fans. This would go a long way in the long run. And I'm telling you right now, if this happens, it would completely fucking obliterate Marvel. This would completely give Marvel the middle finger. This, this would give fans, there's nothing, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing at all wrong, you know, there's nothing at all wrong, with finishing off uh what Snyder started, make all the fans, make, millions and millions of people happy and then reboot, which was originally, the plan until Gunn and Warner Brothers, derailed, the entire thing. Because it doesn't matter, and I've talked about this to death here on the channel, but it doesn't matter how many times you reboot. It it doesn't matter how many times you reboot, because at the end of the day, you're always going to have this chapter unfinished. And as long as you have this chapter unfinished, you're never going to have a cohesive universe. You're never going to have, a cohesive narrative. And if you look at, all the people that are turned off by the DCU right now, finishing this story would go a long way. Restoring, you know, restoring the Snyderverse would go a long way with fans into winning back, people's trust. And everybody that I have talked with, whether it be, diehard fans like myself or the general audience, they think, they think that it's stupid, that Warner Brothers is all about rebooting the first chance they get. And from what I understand, if this deal, is complete, whoever whoever ends up buying Warner Brothers, they wouldn't just get, the DC stuff, but they would also get stuff like Lord of the Rings, Universal Monsters, Harry Potter, all these other projects, that come, that obviously, that come with the purchase. But what we don't know right now, is what we don't know right now is what we don't know right now is how many, is which companies are looking to buy what specifically. Like I've been hearing, mixed reports. I've been seeing, mixed reports saying that Netflix supposedly is only looking to buy their movie division. Um, I heard something a while back that Sony is supposedly looking to buy the gaming, their gaming division. So there are all these, so there are all these reports going around right now, and all these pieces, um, and all these pieces moving around behind the scenes that we just, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes right now because there's so much at work right now. But I give you, but I will obviously be covering it. I will obviously be covering it, as much as I can, when I can. When I have something, when I feel like, something is important, I will of course, report on it. But yeah, so that is it for now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like today's video, if and please, if you like today's video, um, if you like today's video, if you want to keep up, if you want to keep up with, with this type of information, then please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you will be notified when I have new videos go up. So that is it for today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.